Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you're over 55 and navigating a recent colonoscopy result, I want you to imagine this scenario for a second. You go in for a routine checkup, or maybe you get a scan for some unexplained bloating. The doctor looks at the results and delivers the news. You have diverticulosis. You've developed little pockets in the wall of your colon. Almost instantly, you're hit with a warning that completely changes your relationship with food and honestly creates a ton of unnecessary stress. Well, today, we're going to look at the science-backed truth behind diverticulosis after 45. Our whole mission here is to give you accurate, honest information so you can age with strength, mobility, and confidence without living in fear of your pantry. We're going to map out a really clear, actionable path to supporting your gut health.
So let's dive right into this. If you've received this diagnosis, you were probably told you have to be incredibly careful from now on, right? Never eat nuts, seeds, popcorn, or tomatoes with seeds again, you might have been warned. The fear is that if a tiny little seed gets trapped in one of those pockets, it's going to cause a severe infection. So what happens? You panic. You throw away your favorite trail mix. You completely stop eating strawberries. You basically start living your life in a low-grade state of fear over a rogue piece of popcorn. But what if I told you that this life-changing advice, this whole seed myth, might actually be doing your gut way more harm than good?
For decades, a literal anatomical guess from the 1920s led well-meaning doctors to theorize that small, hard particles, like seeds and nuts, would get physically lodged in those colon pockets and trigger an infection. Makes sense intuitively, right? But modern nutritional science actually tells us a completely different story. Nuts, seeds, and popcorn are absolutely packed with incredible insoluble fiber. So instead of getting stuck, this fiber bulks up your stool, making it soft and large. This lowers the pressure inside your colon and acts kind of like a broom, which may actually help sweep those pockets clean. By avoiding these foods out of pure fear, people often just default to a low-fiber, highly processed diet. And you know what that does? It causes constipation, skyrockets the pressure in the colon, and can literally trigger the exact issues we're trying so hard to avoid.
To put this into perspective, think about the number 47,000. That's a massive group of men who were tracked over an 18-year period in a landmark 2008 study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. This huge study completely shattered the seed myth. The researchers actually found that the men who ate the most nuts and popcorn had a significantly lower risk of developing an infection in those pockets compared to the men who avoided them. The science clearly shows that for long-term support, fiber is a fantastic ally, not your enemy.
Before we get to the physical mechanics of this, we really need to separate two important medical terms, because getting these confused causes so much unnecessary anxiety. Diverticulosis is simply the presence of those pockets in the colon wall. That's it. By age 60, more than half of all adults have them, and for the vast majority of people, they cause absolutely zero symptoms. They just exist. Diverticulitis, on the other hand, with that itis at the end, is when those pockets actually become inflamed or infected. That is the painful condition we want to help prevent. Our goal here isn't to live in fear, but to learn how to keep those existing pockets clean, calm, and happy.
Now, I have to pause for a quick safety check, because your well-being is our absolute highest priority. The tips we're talking about today are for long-term structural support. If you ever experience sudden, severe lower left abdominal pain, a fever, chills, or nausea, you might have acute diverticulitis, which is an active infection. That is a medical emergency that requires immediate evaluation, and you should always consult your healthcare provider right away. Never substitute an explainer for professional medical care, and naturally, always check with your doctor before making any major changes to your diet, supplements, or routine. Okay, with that understood, why do these pockets even form in the first place? Well, your colon is basically a muscular tube. The inner layer is soft and delicate, while the outer layer is a thick muscle wall. As we age, and especially after 45, a few things start happening. First, the connective tissue, or collagen in that muscle wall, naturally weakens over time, which creates weak spots. Second, decades of eating low-fiber diets create chronic constipation. And third, pelvic floor dysfunction can mean you're pushing against muscles that just won't relax. When you combine weak spots in the wall with the massive pressure of straining, the soft inner lining gets pushed right through that outer muscle. Think of it exactly like an inner tube on a bicycle tire bulging out through a weak spot in the outer rubber. Those bulges are your pockets.
So we know you need to create a soft, bulky stool that sweeps the colon clean without requiring any high-pressure straining. But here is the trick. If you suddenly jump from eating, say, 10 grams of fiber a day to 40 grams overnight, you are going to experience some massive bloating. You literally have to ramp this up slowly. A really great approach is to start with a very small amount of psyllium husk powder in a large glass of water every day. As always, run this by your doctor first. Psyllium provides soluble fiber, and unlike rough, insoluble fiber, soluble fiber absorbs water and acts like a soothing gel sponge that just gently glides right through the midlife gut. Over the course of a month, you can very slowly increase that amount as your body adapts.
Alongside the psyllium husk, you can start incorporating gentle dietary sources of fiber. And yes, you can absolutely eat the seeds. Ground chia and flax seeds are incredible because they naturally form that beautiful, soothing gel we just talked about. Oats are another fantastic option. And when it comes to your vegetables, keep in mind that raw veggies can sometimes be a bit tough to break down. By steaming or roasting them, you actually break down those tough cellular walls, which makes all that wonderful fiber much gentler on your digestive system. This is incredibly helpful for us as we get a bit older and our digestion changes. Now here is a completely physical fix that you can literally start using today. There's a muscle in your pelvic floor called the pubio rectalis. It wraps around your rectum like a sling, essentially creating a kink in the hose to keep everything inside. When you sit on a standard modern toilet at a typical 90-degree angle, this muscle actually stays partially choked around the rectum. If you strain and push against this chokehold, you are generating that massive pocket-forming pressure. The simple fix? Just elevate your feet using a bathroom footstool. By raising your knees above your hips, you mimic a natural squatting position. This completely relaxes that muscle sling, straightens the angle out, and lets gravity do the hard work with zero straining. If things don't happen in 3 minutes, no worries. Just get up, walk around, and try again later. But absolutely never sit there and strain. I want you to think of your gut wall kind of like a structural engineering project. The pockets only form because the connective tissue in the colon wall weakens as we age. To help support our entire wall, we need to give our bodies specific building blocks. First up is vitamin C, which you can easily get from bell peppers, citrus fruits, and berries. Your body actually needs adequate vitamin C to synthesize collagen. Second, we look to specific amino acids, namely glycine and proline, which you can find in high-quality bone broth or a hydrolyzed collagen peptide supplement. These provide the raw materials that may help support the mucosal lining and the connective tissue of your gut wall over time. The inner lining of your colon is protected by this thick, vital layer of mucus. If this layer gets too thin, bacteria can much more easily reach those little pockets we talked about earlier. To help prevent this, you want to feed your gut bacteria the specific fibers they use to produce a short-chain fatty acid called butyrate. Butyrate is pretty amazing stuff. It's a primary fuel source for your colon cells, and it signals them to maintain a strong, healthy barrier. To get more of it, you want to eat resistant starches, like cooked and cooled potatoes or green bananas. You also want prebiotic fibers, which are found in everyday things like garlic, onions, and asparagus. And finally, try to incorporate some fermented foods, like kefir, plain yogurt, and sauerkraut, to introduce those beneficial bacteria that may help keep your colon environment fully supported and healthy.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, there you have it, the science-backed truth about diverticulosis. It is officially time to throw away the fear and toss out that outdated no seeds rule. Your colon doesn't need you to avoid popcorn. It needs you to stop straining, stay hydrated, and feed your microbiome. By softening your stool, adjusting the way you sit, and supporting your gut wall, you can help keep those pockets perfectly calm. Because listen, aging should be about maintaining your independence, staying active, and enjoying your life, not living in fear of your food. So which of these 4 practical fixes are you going to discuss with your doctor this week? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep adapting, and as always, here's to aging with strength and confidence.
Thank you for your time. Subscribe for more health education. Like the video and share it to help others stay informed.